Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna be playing with a bunch of new makeup. I hauled a lot of new things recently. In case you missed my last couple of videos, I'll link it up here for you in the cards. We have a visitor today. We have little Miss Kira, who just woke up from a nap. You like mommy's makeup? What do you think? How's my face? Do you approve? Kira's gotten so big. She's such a big floof. Oh my goodness, stay on. Stay on. So anyway, we are going to be creating this look that I'm wearing right now using a bunch of products that I've recently added to my collection. So if you'd like to see what I used, here are my first thoughts on some of these products. Hang tight, because we are about to get into it. And you are about to go outside and have a potty break, yes? All right, I'll stop torturing you. Let's go. You can't see it, but I am wearing my Christmas tree headband that lights up today. It is less than a week to Christmas, so I felt like being festive. Anyway, let's move on to the first product that I'm gonna be testing out today, and that is a new foundation from NYX. This was sent to me from Influencer, which is a site that anyone can sign up for, and you basically get sent free products to test in exchange for leaving an honest review. And this is the Total Control Pro Drop Foundation. Now, I previously tried the Total Control Drop Foundation when it launched, I think a couple of years ago. So this is apparently a new pro formula. So we'll see how different it actually is. It's very liquidy. It says shake well, so I've given it quite a good shake because it does look a little separated if you don't do that. And to apply all my makeup today, I'm going to be using my brand new Zoeva brushes from their Share Your Radiance brush vault. I treated myself to this. It was kind of like a holiday advent calendar, but all of these brushes, I'm pretty sure you can purchase individually in their standard black design or their rose gold collection. So I don't think any of the cuts are like unique to this set. So this set came with a flat top foundation brush, their 104 buffer. I feel like this is very similar to the Sigma F80 brush. They are nearly identical in size and shape. I feel like the Zoeva one is maybe slightly bigger. But yeah, I definitely feel like applying such a liquidy foundation product is definitely going to be better with a brush, because I think a sponge will soak up way too much product and shear the coverage out. Now I'm going to dropper this onto the back of my hand. I'm not really sure how much I'm going to need. I think I'll just dot it onto my face to start, and then we will buff it out. I don't want to apply like too much to start, because I have a feeling that this type of product will probably dry down quickly. So I'm gonna try to work fast. All right, so far so good. I feel like that blended in fairly quickly, and the texture of this is obviously very, very lightweight. So it doesn't really look like I have much of anything on my skin. I will say I do have some dryness, some flaking that is a little bit accentuated by this product, but I think no matter what, anything I put on my face right now, it's going to accentuate it. I just started using the Polish Choice 2% BHA exfoliating product, so that I think is starting to actually work to exfoliate my skin, so I have more dead skin cells kind of on the surface layer that just haven't, sloughed off yet. And I think as my skin adjusts to that product, that's just going to be how my skin's going to look for a little while. But otherwise, I feel like this is nice. It's very natural. The coverage is definitely matte, but it feels like basically nothing on my skin. It's super water light. So I feel like this will be a good product for people that actually don't really like foundation. They don't like the feeling of a liquid foundation that feels thick and heavy, because this basically feels like nothing, but I feel like it did even my skin tone out fairly nicely. And I feel like the shade match on this was pretty good. I am using the shade Buff. All right, cool. So that I feel pretty good about. Let's move on to some concealer. I don't have anything new to test out, so I'll just use my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer and add a little bit of coverage to my under eye area. I'm really trying to be good about not over applying concealer Robert Welch, you're in my brain. And to blend this out, they do have a concealer buffer. This is the number 142 brush in the Zoeva set. So I am just going to start patting this and gently buffing it to my under eye area. And honestly, I feel like there's a couple of things I think about when it comes to concealer application. I've noticed that Robert does, and that I think a lot of other people don't do, is I think we have gotten used to using concealers with big doe foot applicators, and then we use sponges or big brushes to, blend in our concealer. And I think if you use a smaller brush, you'll really come to appreciate how far your product can go, and you have a lot more precision with exactly where it's being blended. I feel like Instagram and YouTube has kind of encouraged people to get their concealer like basically all over the center of their face, which if that's what you're going for, you do you, boo. But I think for most people, you probably don't need to use that much product. You can probably make your concealers last a whole lot longer and still get the coverage that you want. So like those two little dots, I feel like were really all I needed, and I definitely had more than enough product to cover up my entire under eye. And because I use a thin layer, I don't really need to set this. This is going to dry down all on its own, and I feel like, especially, as I'm aging a little bit, my under eyes have some fine lines. Not adding powder there means it's less likely to look dry and crepey, and that those lines are going to be accentuated. So we're just gonna leave as is. As for the rest of my face, the NYX foundation has started to set down nicely. I have a slight bit of tack left in my skin, but it's not too, wet and creamy or anything like that. So I think we are good to move along. Now, I don't have a new bronzer to test, but I honestly don't know if I ever used this one on camera before. This is the Nabla Skin Bronzing Powder, and I do enjoy this. I absolutely love the skin glazing powders. I think I may prefer that formula to this one, but this still is nice. So why don't we go ahead and use this guy today. I have the shade Dune, which I believe was described as more of like a warm, medium toned bronzer. And then as far as my Zoeva brushes go, I feel like I don't really have a shape here in front of me that's ideal for applying bronzer. I have a bigger powder brush, so we could maybe use this. And then I have a smaller face shaping brush, which I feel like would be good for cream contour. I think, however, I would like to use this brush because this is also new to me. This is from Nabla. It's their cheek shaper brush, and this is a really beautiful shape for getting right into the hollows of the cheeks. You could use this for applying blush or bronzer, and this I believe is only available on the Nabla website. I ordered it over Black Friday weekend when I think these were 50% off or 40% off, so I got it for a really good deal. So I'm just gonna go in here and pick up a little bit of product. There is basically no fallout from this, by the way. It's a very firmly pressed, baked kind of formula. It does, however, have, as you can see, pretty good pigment, so even though there's no kickback, it definitely is picking up on the brush, so just be aware of that. You want to make sure you don't over apply. Now, speaking of the Nabla skin glazing powders, I did actually pick up another one of them in that same Black Friday weekend haul. This is in the shade Independence. This is a newer shade. I think this launched this past summer, and it's a gorgeous, I think they describe it as a rosy hazelnut shade. It's a really pretty kind of glowy blush, and the only other shade I have of this particular product is more of a true highlight. I think it's in the shade Amnesia. So I just wanted to give one of their more blushy toned powders a go. So you know what, I think I'm just going to stick with using this same brush. We'll pick up a little bit of this powder and we'll just start blending that onto the cheeks. Ooh, that's very pretty. I mean, what did I expect? I kind of knew it was going to be pretty. Yeah, this is definitely a very sort of fresh, pinky color. There's definitely some depth to it. I feel like, if anything, there's more color to this shade than there is shine. So just to give you guys a frame of reference and to complete our little Nabla cheek situation, I grabbed my Amnesia powder. Look at how just stunningly reflective that is. Oh, it's gorgeous. And we'll use this Luxe Powder Fusion brush from Zoeva to apply this. But I feel like this highlight shade, like it definitely has more reflect to it than the blushy shade did. So if you can see, this cheek has like a little hint of a sheen to it, but it's nowhere near as blindingly glowy as when I have the highlight added on top, which honestly I kind of like because I'd prefer my blush to be slightly less intensely glowy, because then I have the option of adding on a highlight if I want to, or keeping things looking a little more subtle, which is like what I would prefer for work. But you know, it's the weekend today, so I'm just gonna go ham with the cheeks. All right, so let's move along to brows, which I do have a new brow product to show you guys. I mean, it's not new, but it's new to me. This is the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. I got the shade Dark Brown. This is basically like a dupe for the Benefit Gimme Brow, but I would say that this formula is much more gel-like, whereas the Benefit one is much more moussey and dry. So anywho, I am just going to comb this through my brows. I really enjoy these kinds of tinted brow gels with the teeny tiny spoolies for doing my brows for every day. As someone that has kind of sparse, uneven eyebrows, but that has dark hair, I feel like my eyebrows are fairly tricky to fill in and still keep them looking natural. I also have naturally thinner eyebrows as well, which also adds to the challenge and is why I appreciate these tiny little spoolies. But yeah, overall, I feel like this one works pretty well. It's fast, it is natural looking. I feel like the shade match on this is really pretty good for me. I'm gonna wait for this to dry down before I go in with a pencil and just touch up a few areas and kind of perfect the tail a little bit. But yeah, considering that this is like $7, I think it's really decent. I may prefer Gimme Brow over this just because I like the slightly drier consistency of that formula. But knowing that that's like a $24 product, I feel like I probably wouldn't rebuy Gimme Brow unless I could get it during like Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty or something where I could get it for half off. Otherwise, I think I would just repurchase something more affordable like this. The difference in performance is not big enough to me to make up for the difference in price. All right, so now it's time to move on to the fun part, which is figuring out what I'm gonna do on my eyes today. If you saw my most recent haul videos, you'll know I have an abundance of eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes that are new to my collection. So we've got lots of options to choose from. So I think right off the bat, I'm going to eliminate my new ColourPop palettes. Not that I don't love them, but two of them are older launches, the So Jaded and the Flutterby palette, so I feel like I'd rather save those for maybe like a getting ready with me video. And the Raw Beauty Kristi palette, while I absolutely adore it, I feel like you guys have probably seen many times over at this point, and I did share a tutorial using that palette over on my Instagram, so I will link that IGTV video for you guys in the description box in case you want to watch it. So as far as other new options, there is the Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane palette, which is just so sparkly and so fun. I have used this a couple of times, but I feel like this is a palette that I'm going to need to use a lot before I've really truly had the opportunity to fully appreciate it, just because each of these shades individually is so stunning and could be the centerpiece of a look all on its own. And considering the fact that it's a 12-pan palette, like, that's 12 makeup looks right here. I also have, sticking with the Nabla theme, the new side-by-side nude palette. I did have the opportunity to finally swatch this for the first time yesterday, and I did film a little swatch video. So that's something I'm going to be editing soon and putting up on my Instagram if it's not there already. But I have to say, while I do love the color story of this and feel like this is a great everyday / glam palette, like one and done, truly neutral, not warm tone neutral, but like a true neutral palette, I was a little disappointed in the way that this swatched, which was a little like, I was a little taken aback because Nabla has been so consistently amazing in my experience when it comes to their eyeshadows. But for whatever reason, I felt like the mattes, especially in this palette, felt a little more firmly pressed and a little less buttery than their mattes in their other palettes. So, you know, ultimately I need to put this on my eyes and we'll see how it performs. Hopefully it'll blend out beautifully, but I'm a little nervous. And then I also finally got in my JD Glow Cosmetics eyeshadows, which I put into my new salt palette as I said that I would. So these 6 larger pans here are the 6 shades from JD Glow that I picked up. Why don't we swatch these just for funsies, because why not? I'm kind of leaning towards using one of these shades in my look today, so I feel like this will be a fun way for us to play with the colors and see which one I'm most inspired by. So the first shadow I have here is the shade Macaroon. This is one of their shimmer eyeshadow formulas. So this looks like it's kind of a deep raspberry pink with some gold glittery shimmery reflex in it. That is so fun, so stunning. Let's take a guess. How many times am I about to say stunning in the next 5 minutes? All right, then the next one I have here, oh, this is so sparkly and beautiful. This is Anomaly, which is one of their Galaxy eyeshadows. This is kind of a duochrome blue purple shadow with a little bit of like an iridescent sparkle in it. Ooh, that is just impactful. I was about to say stunning, but I stopped myself. I feel like you can see in the texture difference between this shade and this shade. This one has like micro glitter in it, but the pink base is more satin than metallic, whereas this shade, I feel like this almost reminds me of the Astral formula from Pat McGrath, and the fact that it has tons of these really micro fine little shimmers that give it this really special light reflective quality that's not really foiled and metallic. It's just sparkly in a non-glittery way, if that makes any sense. I will also note that my finger is already starting to be stained, so just something to keep in mind. Then next, this is probably the shadow I was most excited to pick up. This is Unexpected, which I've heard so many good things about. Now, I will say that to the touch, this shadow has a creamy texture to it. Like, it feels like a very soft foiled formula. So I feel like this is something you kind of have to be careful how much you pick up, just because I think it could make a bit of a mess. But man, again, the shine factor on this one is out of this world stunning. It doesn't really have a pigmented base. This one is pretty much just very multi-chromatic sparkle. That's probably going to be a really amazing topper shade on the lid. Then I've got another Galaxy shadow. This one is called AKA, and this is more of a hot, almost kind of bubblegummy pink color. This one feels a little bit more dry to the touch, definitely not as creamy as Unexpected, and does definitely have a different texture in the way that it swatches out as well. I feel like this one's not quite as shiny as Unexpected is. It's a little bit more similar to Macaroon, but with maybe just like a bit more shine and a little less of the glitter kind of effect. Then we have Good God. This is another Galaxy shadow, and this one was also one of the ones that really caught my eye. The texture does feel similar to the texture of Unexpected. It's got that kind of creamy foiled feel to it. This is kind of more of an icy blue shade. I feel like this shade and this shade together would probably make a gorgeous blue toned eye look. This one, again, definitely doesn't have much of a pigmented base to it. It's pretty much just sparkle, but it's still really beautiful, and I feel like the color is totally giving me Queen Frostine from Candyland vibes. Last but not least, this is another Galaxy shadow. This one is called Peachy Keen, and this one looks less foiled, sparkly, less topper-like than the last shade or Unexpected. This one, again, feels more smooth and powdery, but this shade does have a really cool duochrome flip to it. So it's very pink when you look at it one way, but then it flips to this sort of lime green color, which I think is really cool. So here are all my JD Glow shadows close up. Definitely all incredibly beautiful, all very, very unique kind of standout shades that I feel like could really be the focal point of a beautiful look. But I will say it is a little confusing that the 5 Galaxy shadows that I got were so different in texture and formula. So even though these are all from the same collection, the same range, they definitely all perform and swatch very differently. They're all shiny and beautiful, but that's something just to keep in mind if you are shopping on the JD Glow website. I would definitely try to find swatches of the particular shade you're interested in rather than just looking at the shade on the website, just so you can get a better feel for what the finish will actually be like. So I think looking at all of these shades, I may do something blue today. I haven't done a blue look, I feel like, in a little while, and I don't often get to wear blue eyeshadow in my day-to-day life anymore because I have to look professional. So maybe I'll pull some mattes from the Side by Side palette, and then we'll really make Anomaly and Good God the star of the show. All right, so I just zoomed you guys in a little bit closer so you can see better what I'm doing. I'm going to prime my lids with this Sigma eyeshadow base primer in the shade Ignite. I'm just gonna go back in with that same brush I used to buff in my concealer. So looking at the shades in this palette and what we have to work with, I think I'm going to opt for the slightly warmer brown tones. I think that will be a better pairing to these particular blues. So we're going to start out with the Zoeva 228 Luxe Crease, one of my favorite Zoeva brushes, and I'm going to go into the shade Halftime here, and we will buff this all throughout the crease. Definitely is going on with really nice pigment, which is what I would expect and hope from a Nabla eyeshadow. I don't think I'm going to do anything super groundbreaking as far as eyeshadow placement today. I really just want to see how everything performs. And when it comes to these Nabla mattes, the ones I'm most worried about are the deeper shades, because those were the ones that seemed the most patchy, which is very atypical for my, previous Nabla experience. So we shall see. All right, well, that was really easy. I like that shade a lot. So let's now go into Burnt Sienna here. I'm going to use the 231 Luxe Petite crease brush for this step, and we will apply this to the outer corner. Again, pigment, really beautiful, but we'll see how it blends. It's not bad, but I do feel like it is slightly less smooth and easy to blend out than I would hope for it to be, but it's not like a patchy mess by any means. I'm also going to take my little Luxe Petite brush, going to go back into Halftime, and I'm going to take that on the lower lash line to tie that in. All right, so that's a pretty simple base. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay down some of my NYX glitter primer. I use this pretty much every time I'm going to use a sparkly eyeshadow because I feel like it really helps with fallout. And I'm just going to use one of my little Moda small shader brushes to pat that all over my lid. Now I'm a little nervous about how this will pick up on a brush versus using it with my fingers. We'll try, we'll see, but I don't really know how it's gonna go. So this is the Zoeva 234 Luxe Smoky Shader Brush. Let's pick up a little of Anomaly or see how that works. Looks a little chonky, but we'll see. And I'll try patting that on. So I feel like this is my concern with using a brush for this kind of shade. I feel like given that it has a certain kind of texture, I think it almost needs a little of that swiping motion that you get with your finger to blend it out properly. But dang, that's a shadow right there. I feel like this is the kind of shade you have to want to make a statement like when you wear it, because it is loud, but it is beautiful for sure. Like the color is just absolutely unreal as far as how stunning it is. And I'm just going to take a little of the excess and kind of blend it out so that way we get like just a kiss of sparkle throughout the crease, because I feel like that will help it to look a little less blocky. And then I'm going to take a really small fine brush. This is a Sigma smudge brush, and I'm going to take Good God We'll see how this goes. And we'll try to swipe and pat that into the inner corner. I'm bringing it up also into the crease a little. I definitely feel like if you can't afford a $125 Pat McGrath palette with the Astral shades in it, one of these shadows from JD Glow is going to give you a very similar experience for a lot less money up front. I think these shades were full price, $7.50 a piece, and I got them 40% off for Black Friday, which is incredible. Like, just the way that these catch the light and how sparkly they are is so special. All right, so now I want to kind of smoke things out a little bit more. I'm going to take the shade Tempera on the Luxe Petite Crease Brush. Just going to get that right on the very tip there, and I'm going to pat that onto the outer corner to just add a little more depth there, a little more smoke. My SD card just ran out of memory, so I had to stop and clear a few things off of there so we could keep on going. Anyway, I was about to say that I'm going to take this 230 Luxe pencil brush and I'm going to go into Burnt Sienna first and just start to build that up on the lower lash line to continue smoking things out. And then maybe take a little of Tempera right in the outermost corner. All right, so I feel like this eye look just needs some liner and lashes and whatnot to finish it off. So I'm gonna do that quick off camera and then I'll be right back. All right, so eyes are done. Let's just finish things up with lips. I've got a nice nudie lip combo that I think will go well with this eye look. Again, more new stuff from Nabla. Clearly, I hauled a few things. So I picked up one of their new close-up lip shapers. These, again, I think are only available right now on the Nabla website. I got the shade 02, which is sort of a warmer beigey kind of nude. And then I also got one of these lipsticks. These came out with their Cuties collection, I think over the summer. This is the Metropolitan lipstick, which is, again, a really nice nude. So I'm just gonna go ahead, line my lips, fill them in, and we'll see where we're at. This lipstick formula is super lightweight and emollient. It's also a little bit on the sheer side, which is nice. So it's pretty easy to, you know, layer up and get to the opacity that you want. But if you just kind of want more of a wash of color, you can easily get that with this lipstick. So I'm digging it. I do feel like this pairing though is just slightly cool, considering that the cheeks I feel like are a little bit warmer and we use some slightly warmer tones to blend out the eyes. So I'm just gonna take a little kiss of this lip oil from Yensa just to warm things up. This is the shade Modern Nude in their Super 8 lip oil, also something new I was sent recently. And this formula by itself is very pigmented. Also, it smells delicious. It smells fruity, almost kind of like a Jolly Rancher. All right, so here's my finished look. Using a whole bunch of new products. You guys have to let me know what you think. And with that, I'm going to zoom you guys out so we can wrap things up. So let's do a recap of everything that I tested out today. First, the NYX Total Control Pro Drop Foundation. Now, I don't really know what makes this very different from the original foundation. I think the coverage level on this is a little bit better than the original Total Control Drop Foundation, although to be quite honest, it's been years since I tried that formula, so that could all just be in my head. I do think this did a nice job of evening out my skin tone. I liked how lightweight it was. It does, I feel like, enhance texture a little bit on the skin because it's so matte and because it's so lightweight. Whereas I think a more satin finish foundation kind of is usually a little bit more smoothing on the skin. It's just a little bit thicker, so it kind of fills in pores and kind of blurs things out a little more, whereas this foundation doesn't have that kind of effect. But I like that, you know, it basically feels like nothing, and I think it's a good kind of natural finish foundation for everyday wear. I'm gonna be really curious to see how transfer resistant it is and how well it holds up over the course of the day, because if it does have good lasting power, I could see myself wearing this for work days and things where my makeup needs to look polished but still relatively natural, and I need it to last from, you know, like 8:30 until 5 o'clock at night. Then next is this Nabla Skin Glazing in Independence. I think this is a beautiful shade, Really, really like the rosy pink tone that it gave. I appreciate that it gives your skin kind of a nice healthy glow, but it's not overly shimmery, it's not overly light reflective, so you definitely can wear it with or without a highlight depending on your preference. Then there is the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. I liked this. I mean, it's a brow gel. It's not the most exciting or revolutionary product ever. I think that the spoolie is very comparable to the one in Benefit Gimme Brow. It's good for someone with thin eyebrows like myself. The ability that it had to fill in and tint my brows was really nice. I feel like it gave my brows some hold while not making them crazy crunchy. Like, this definitely is a very soft textured brow gel. It doesn't feel like hairspray or shellac in your brows. And it was easy for me to go back in with a pencil after it dried down and fill things in and touch things up a little bit more, which is not always the case, especially with those more crunchy brow gels. Do I think it's better than Gimme Brow? Not necessarily, but for less than half the price, I really can't complain, and I definitely could see myself repurchasing this instead of the Gimme Brow in the future if I can't get the Gimme Brow on sale. Then there are the eyeshadows. We've got all of these beauties from JD Glow, as well as the Nabla Side by Side palette. Now, this palette I obviously need to test out more. I need to use some of the shimmery shades that are in here, but I do feel, just based on first swatch, first impression, that this is not my favorite Nabla palette. I don't think it's quite on the same level as some of their other releases. So I'll test that one out a little more and then get back to you guys. I actually was thinking about doing a dedicated video just on Nabla eyeshadow palettes and kind of ranking and comparing all of them so you guys could figure out which one might be the best for you. If that's something you'd be interested in seeing, leave a comment and let me know. And then these JD Glow shadows are just stunning. I feel like the way Anomaly looks on my lid, it is so shimmery and beautiful and light reflective. Honestly, the camera, I feel like, does not do it justice. If you want to support a Black-owned indie brand, I definitely would recommend checking out JD Glow, and I am very excited to create more looks using those other shades. Now, these Nabla lip products, I think they're both really nice. The lip pencil goes on very, very creamy and smooth. It is a traditional lip pencil that's wood that you need to sharpen, but I don't mind those, especially when the trade-off is that you get such a nice, smooth, pigmented formula. And this lipstick formula is really nice. I would love to see them make more of these because I'm pretty sure they only have the 3 shades that launched with the Cuties palettes this summer. But it's a beautiful, very buttery satin lip formula that I feel like is very on trend right now. Like the kind of slightly more sheer, kind of balmy lipstick formula, that's definitely what this is. Not that it's not pigmented, it definitely can be layered up to full opacity on the lips, but it just has that slightly more balm-like feel to it. It's not a dry matte, it's not heavy or gloopy. And the packaging, while very simple, does feel very weighty and nice and high quality. So for the price, which I think these retail for about $16, I would say definitely worth it if one of the shades speaks to you. Last but not least, these Zoeva brushes are excellent. I kind of feel like that was something I already knew going into this. I will say the one thing I definitely want to give Zoeva props for is not skimping out on the quality of their brushes, considering that this is a holiday set. I know that not every brand makes their holiday launches on par with their permanent product quality, but these brushes are exactly the same as my other Zoeva brushes. Like, these feel the same, they perform the same, so I think that's amazing. This 12-piece brush set was $95, which is, you know, a pretty solid investment. But when you think about it, that works out to less than $8 per brush, which for a Zoeva brush is a really good price. So if this is still available and you can still get it and you've always wanted to try Zoeva brushes, I think this is a great way to get introduced to the brand. So on that note, that is it from me today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and playing with some makeup with me. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you will consider giving it a thumbs up. I always appreciate your support so much. And if you would like to see more from yours truly, I hope you will consider clicking that subscribe button before you go. That way my face will show up in your subscription feed and we can hang out together again in the future. So on that note, thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.